What's up, guys? I am back, as you could see. Sorry for the long break. Uh, if you recall from my last video, I needed to really give myself some space and some time to, I guess, think. Um, I've come to the realization, and this will be the topic for today, of it's really important to push forward. Uh, And what I mean by that is basically um, when you get stuck in your feelings, you get stuck real hard. And, you know, to some people like myself, uh, we tend to get really stuck, like really, really stuck. Like we almost feel frozen in time. And usually for me, whenever I get into those feelings of, negative, anything negative, I really tend to freeze, and I I end up feeling like I'm being held back in history. Uh, and it's terrible for you because you never be want to stuck in the past. You kind of always want to have a clear mind. Uh, Otherwise, you'll be just stuck thinking about old things that you wish never happened, which you can never change, and that's okay. You know, prior to last video, if you remember, I was really feeling down. I was really feeling alone. And after that video, I didn't post for a while and I started to really think real hard. And it wasn't until my best friend spoke to me and, I kind of went back to the old messages and I read them and I was like, they're kind of right. And they told me that it's very important to know that no matter how hard you feel like you're in a low, you need to know that some people are just that difficult, um, and you need to learn to push forward. Pushing forward is very important. It's the key to victory, because you fall, you get back up, you try again, and you're just gonna do that over and over and over and over and over again until eventually uh, you win. That's the end goal. Uh, Even if it isn't the win you want, it's still a win. And winning is kind of all that matters, no matter what aspect it is. And, a lot of people tend to always have that feeling that, what if I don't win? What if I lose? Well, that's the thing. You always lose in life. You tend to lose every single time, whether it be, you know, um, asking somebody out and it doesn't go your way, or maybe you don't click with someone, or somebody let go of you and you don't want them to, so it just leaves you dragging with the thought of, like, what you did wrong, what you could have done to save it. And you know I can understand that. I've had times. Yeah, a current friend of mine, me and her are cool now. She seems pretty chill. I haven't texted her in a while. I might text her after this video, but we got into a heated argument. Basically, they were arguing with someone, and I typically don't like arguing. Uh, I hate it, and although it's natural and it's bound to happen, it still kind of hurts me in a way. So when I saw them arguing, I kind of crashed out on both of them, and um, the girl, my friend that we're speaking of, she decided to walk away. Uh, she ended up unfriending me and uh, all that stuff, and didn't even really want to speak to me. Even after the fact, I felt really guilty because I didn't really mean to. But the second she did do those actions, instantly tried to contact her and DM her like, hey, I didn't mean what I said. I was just trying to, break the dumb argument that was happening. And eventually, after a couple days, I I let her go. I let her do her thing, and uh, in one server we're in, uh, I decided to let her, slowly breathe. I guess. I tried replying to some of her messages every now and then. Trying not to really push myself that I'm to show like that. I'm really trying or anything, but at the same time, also show her that I want to talk. Um, So that's basically what happened. In a slow progression, I ended up fixing it. And, we ended up being cool friends and, gave her some messages that were very positive. And every now and then I message her, I'm like, hey, how you doing? How's life been? I hope you're all right. And, I do that to a lot of people. Um, I tend to love spreading that positivity. I love spreading that, information like, hey, you're all right. Like how you doing? Hope everything's well. Peace to your soul, all that stuff. And then either maybe they are okay, and the conversation ends there, or they're not okay, and we end up having an hour talk about what's going on in their head or what's going on in their life, which I love to do. That's why I'm always so free and open minded to people. I really, although not good, I really care about people. You know, I really care about people's emotions and how they're feeling because that's my goal in the end. Of all of this, I will be trying my absolute best to, bring peace to the world, no matter what. No matter how low I get, I know I can always pick myself back up, and I'm praying you guys could help me get myself back up, and I don't have to fight this war alone, because it just, when we're talking about peace to the world, it's almost impossible for one man to do it, and obviously it's not just one man, it's more than just philosophy, you also have to be talking about, politics and stuff like that, which I understand. Although, politics isn't my strongest topic, it's still a topic that I must know in the end to bring peace because, peace comes to those when we understand that power is kind of a role in it. It's the role in like, dividing all of us in a way, if that makes any sense. Like, like when we divide, we are divided because the white man said so. Um, and I really kind of don't want to say that because I don't want to, sound mean to white people because, a lot of my friends are white and, they really care about me and, they care about other people in the world and understand what's going on, like a lot of them are, they hate ICE and, all that stuff and are very, very understanding to other cultures. And, a lot of people need to know that. Not every white person is trying to, you know, go out their way to be against you. To be honest, it's a lot of the older people uh, that are really against us because, they only know the way they were raised in. And the way they were raised was, you know, their kind of thing. Back then when, segregation was so important and stuff like that. And it kind of carries on through the blood because not even just through the blood. I guess just parenting. Parents tell you how to do things, and I mean, a good portion of people don't don't ever change. Like despite the negative that their family has for a specific ethnic group or a certain amount of people. Uh, in the end, you can change for the better. That's important. That's very important to change for the better always because, being better is, well, it's better than, following uh following tradition, I guess. Like, people are always so stuck with the ideology that we have to stay separate, and like, people, and being racist, and people fucking saying all this shit about, like, you know culture and stuff like that. Culture divides us, blah 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 blah. It's untrue. Culture is the best point when it comes to bringing people together. Like, culture is meant to be shared. uh and whether you like it or not, that's the truth of it. The culture is, everything to people, and that's kind of what I wish America was. Like, from the very beginning, America was supposed to be the culmination of culture. you know Ignore that, sorry. I'll cut that out, but anyways, uh America was supposed to be basically the culmination of cultures, if anything. Like, it was meant to be this place where, blacks, whites, Asians, Indians, you know, people that were Italian, Egyptian, and, like, it's a shame to what it's become, where now it's like, this is now only the white man's land. And it's stupid because, you know, the territory is stolen. you know, like, Americans weren't here. It was the natives that were here, and that matters a lot. It matters so much, because you can't say that and not realize, like, hey, you're also in the wrong. You guys need to go back to fucking England, and go back to talking fucking British and shit like that. You guys kind of just turned it into, like, their own version of it, basically. And that's, I guess, the reality of peace. um the reality of it being that it's impossibility of it. Like, it's it's hard to do it as one person, because so many people in power, so many people who have millions or billions of dollars, people who control the worth of everything, and have no shame in their cause or their acts or anything like that. They they'll never understand. They'll never understand that. And I hope someday in the near future we can let people of youth um go to become president and stuff. And, like, and I don't mean like 40s, I mean, like, genuinely, like, somebody who's probably in their 20s or 30s, because the youth understand the world more than the older generation, I guess, because the older generation, they they don't think about it as much as we do. We truly think about the world, and because of their past actions and their past choices and all that stuff, they've kind of ruined it for us. We're kind of fucked in a way. But I'm here to shine the light that it's still not over. We still have one more fucking trick in our sleeve. We still have a little bit more strength in our soul to push forward and to really show that we can fucking do it, and that we can go and go and go and show the world, and show these billionaires, and show these politicians that, hey, we're not fools. You're the ones that are fools, because you can't even fucking fix one goddamn country. Like, you have no idea how insanely better the world would be if, politicians were just younger, and it was the generation now, and blah blah blah. But yeah, um back to the topic, I guess, of pushing forward. Pushing forward is the key to a great life and great success. you'll never see peace in the end if you're not willing to show that you're still going forward. And me, uh, as a prime example, like I've attempted to take my own life. I've had those nights where, I fall and I couldn't get up. And, a lot of the times, like when I was 16, when I was young, I truly didn't believe I was going to go anywhere. I always told myself I'll be dead before I even turn 20, before I even turn 18. And yet, here I still am, breathing and living and somehow still here, despite all the flaws, despite everything that went wrong in my way. Look who's still fucking going, me. And you know, that's that's amazing. It's truly amazing that even as someone as broken as me, who promised themselves that they wouldn't be alive until they were barely an adult, really shows that no matter what you think, you're wrong. You can never predict the future, and you never will. You know, never give up. Never show yourself that you're this hollow glass almost. Never show that you're actually vulnerable and, you have no life and, you know, no feelings or anything. You do. You're human. You can distance yourself from us as much as you want. You know, I've had moments where I didn't consider myself human because I always thought so negatively about the world. But, you gotta also understand that that's okay. The world is full of negative energy, but you just have to remind yourself that, hey, the world needs a little bit of positive, you know, throw that positivity. Whether you get anything back from it or not, you know, that's the gamble of life. You're never guaranteed that perfect world or, that perfect vision where, you give somebody a compliment and you expect something back in greater return. It'll never be the case. You'll always be in that position where sometimes, even if it's worth nothing, it's still worth everything. You know, people are important, and the universe and everything that's ever been said, it's all important. You know, we are so great, so amazing. Truly cannot grasp how amazing people are, amazing how amazing humans are. You know, we are truly one of a kind. And that's what matters most. If you're ever feeling down and you're ever feeling like you've struck rock bottom, remember that you are human and you can do anything you want. Don't pay attention to the invisible boundaries humanity has placed on us. You could do whatever you want. As a human, you have a right to be free. So, pick yourself back up, brush the dirt off your clothes, and just keep pushing forward. That's what matters, is that you're still here. I mean, look at you now. I guarantee you somebody's going to see this video and they're going to be so depressed. And, shit, I'm an example. They think the end is right there, but it's not. You don't write the end of your book. Suicide is just a temporary solution. Oh, well, no. It's a long-term solution to a temporary problem, basically. A wise man once said. Committing suicide is basically like ripping the page out of your own book. It's like picture this. Life is a book and you are the writer of that book. Suicide stop is you stopping. Suicide is you completely stopping out of nowhere and ripping out every other page after. That's what suicide is. Closing that book for eternity and a cliffhanger. Nobody ever wants that. No matter how worthless you think you are, no matter how much rock bottom you've hit, no matter how much dirt on your clothes, you're still everything. You still have to finish a book. So what are you doing, Who cares if it's boring? Like, look at fucking me, man. All I do is play fucking video games, man. I have no special talents. I'm not great. But being human is great. And that's what's important. Being human. Because humanity is so great. When you finally stop looking at Twitter and really open up your eyes and see the colors of the world, not being stuck in shades of gray all the time. You see it. You see the world in all its glory. You see the happiness, the joy. And of course, if you're as depressed as I am, you're probably going to immediately think, that'll never be me. But it will. It always will. Shit, I've bet you that it's actually happened without you realizing it. Like me. When I was a teenager, I didn't think I was going to make any good memories. Shit. And then I recall back to those great moments I've had with family members, with friends. I remember those moments. And those moments are moments of joy. Those are your pieces of light that you think didn't exist or that you think wasn't going to happen. So, you truly think that it's all over? That the world is ended? Your world has ended? No. Far from it. You still have so much work to do. So, pick yourself up. Keep pushing forward. And I can assure you, there will be nothing but peace in the end. Peace of the world.